Hello, my name is Kelly, and this is my little haven on the internet where I like to share my making. I am a sewist and I still consider myself a novice knitter. And today's episode will just be a very traditional knitting podcast style video. So I will kind of go through some things that I finished recently, as well as some things that are on my needles and some fun acquisitions for the end. It has been quite a while since my previous episode because in December, it's kind of like my time to just rest and be with family. And I can say that I'm well rested and keen to kind of take on the new year. I will start with what I'm wearing. So today I'm wearing my Juice Sweater Light by November Knits. This was knit up back in 2024. So yeah, let's say about a year and a half ago, or maybe just over that. This sweater is designed to be knit with 2 strands of mohair held together, but I knit mine up with 3 strands of mohair just for a more dense fabric. My gauge was also a bit smaller, so I don't quite have the amount of positive ease that was intended for the project, but I really love this version. I wear it all the time if the weather permits for it. And it is just your very standard raglan, but what's special about this one is that the 2x2 ribbing kind of extends into the raglan increases, or into the raglan stitches. So I love the sweater. I've made another one as well, and I can foresee myself making a third. So yeah, I just really enjoy wearing this sweater. Oh, and then this was knit up on 3 strands of a lace weight silk mohair by Samuel Natural Fibers. So I will start with my finished objects, and I only have one, which is a pair of socks. And these are my Petal drop socks by Florence. It is a very beautiful lace pair of socks, and you may not be able to fully appreciate the lace because it is still a bit scrunched up after blocking. I don't use sock blockers for my socks because I have a fairly narrow foot and leg, and I'm just scared that the sock blockers may just stretch out my socks too much. But regardless, I love it. I think it looks comically skinny because the fabric is a bit cinched in, but they do fit. And Florence, this is a free pattern by Florence, and she also has a full video on it. So if you are just trying to get into sock knitting, that is a wonderful resource. I didn't really make use of it because at this point, this is my 3rd pair of socks that I've knit, and I'm quite comfortable with the process now. And yeah, the pattern repeat was quite easy to memorize. I will say I'm not a big fan of doing increases and yarn overs the whole time, but I mean, it's very easy to achieve this lace. I think lace is quite wonderful because it looks more intricate or more intense than what it actually is. And then it gives you this beautiful, beautiful fabric. For the cuffs, I did twisted or half twisted ribbing. And then I also did a slip stitch heel flap and gusset for my heel construction. I've started with doing a slip stitch heel, and I think that will be my preferred method going forward. I've heard that it gives great structural integrity and holds quite well with wear. Full disclosure, I haven't really worn any of my hand knit socks just because I feel like these are more like for the winter and we are in the middle of our summer. So I think I can really only give my feedback on how the socks I've worn maybe after our winter. But yeah, in terms of the size, so Florence has 2 sizes for this sock. I instinctively went with the 2nd size because I think you cast on 65 stitches, which is closest to my normal 64 stitches that I cast on for my stockinette socks. But I didn't account for the fact that the lace will stretch out quite a bit or will open up and therefore make the sock bigger. So I think I was about like 3 pattern repeats in until I realized that the sock was going to be way too big. So I had to rip back until the cuff and then, or no, I had to rip back the entire sock and then go back to that smaller stitch count and then move forward with the sock. I will say that even though these do fit, they are a bit more snug. I think for the smaller size, you cast on 58 stitches. So yeah, once they're on my foot, they fit well, but they are just a bit more snug than my other two pairs that I knit up on 64 stitches. So it would have been nice if there was like an in-between size, but looking at the chart, I don't see how that would have been possible, but not a train smash at all. And then I think this leg is also like a bit shorter than what I normally do, but also that is so fine. So these are knit or were knit with the Proper Sock Base by Cargo Blues. And they are a local hand dyer, I guess, company. And this is in the color camel. I really like this color. It is beautiful. And the Proper Sock Base is just your standard sock yarn. So it's 75% merino wool and 25% nylon. Again, I can't really speak much to how the yarn holds up because I haven't worn any of my hand-knit socks. But we'll see when the winter comes, then I can speak more on that. But all in all, I'm very happy to add this pair of socks to my collection. And yeah, I think I'm keen to try out more lace socks. I think they are really beautiful and delicate, and I anticipate that they'll be like a very cute, I guess, accessory to add to an outfit. So yeah, my Petal drop socks. So that was my only finished object, so I'll head into works in progress. And my first one is the Oxford Cardigan by Tricot Designs. And you can see that I have done the body, and I've also done the double knitted button bands as well as the collar. And this construction is very interesting. And I think if I hear how other people describe it, I think this is a contiguous construction. So you cast on for the back and then you knit like a very tiny amount, and then you immediately pick up for the left and the right shoulders. Then you pick up stitches along this edge and you knit on the back. And then you also pick up stitches along this edge, and then you kind of connect these live stitches that was picked up for the right shoulder. And then you kind of continue knitting as if you're knitting a raglan, but the increases for the shoulders and the body are different. Like they're not the same with the standard raglan where you're increasing at the same rate for the shoulders and the body. So that was really interesting. I think it's kind of a cool way to get this set in sleeve look, which I haven't done before. And I'm really keen to kind of see what the final product will look like once it is blocked. I did crop my cardigan by quite a bit. And I think with my fiasco with the Copenhagen cardigan, I'm now realizing that a cropped cardigan is better than one that's too long because I just won't reach out for it. So I'm very happy with that choice, and I have tried it on, and I do anticipate that it will also grow a little bit after blocking. Then what's kind of nice, this is my first time doing double knitted button band with a crew neck, because it feels like it goes a lot more quickly because you kind of break up that process because you've got the right button band that you complete and then you go onto the left. And so I just felt like it went by a lot more quickly. What I will say is that what was interesting is that she had you pick up stitches with the same needle size that you use for your body. And with my previous cardigans, I actually sized down a couple of needle sizes just to make, or I guess just to help with the integrity of the button band. So I thought that was quite odd. And then she also had you pick up, I think it was three stitches for every 4 stitches. And previously I would pick up every stitch along this body edge. So what I did is that I did size down. So I am knitting the body on 5mm needles, which is one size up. I think she recommends 4.5, but I got gauge with 5mm needles. And then I picked up the button band with 3.5mm needles. And then I picked up, initially, I picked up 5 out of, no, I picked up 4 out of 5 stitches, just so that, like, I was scared that the cinching would be too much if I did 3 out of every 4 stitches. So I did that. I knit the whole right button band, and when I completed the button band, this, let me see if I can actually show it. This button band actually cinched up like that, and I just wasn't confident that it would block out. So I ripped out the entire button band and I started from scratch, and I then just picked up every stitch along this body edge. So the theme very much for this episode is frogging, or like ripping out work that I've done before, which honestly, like, I'm not mad about, because I would rather have a piece that looks bright and that I'm excited to wear than just finishing a project. So yeah, so I ripped back, I re-picked up stitches, and then I reworked the button band. And then, yeah, as you can see, it lays quite nice and flat. And then I did the same for the left side of the button band, or the left button band. And I wonder if perhaps, oops, there goes the pin. And I wonder perhaps, like, if I kind of got that bowing or like cinching in because I used smaller needles. Had I used the 5mm needles, would I have had a more like relaxed fabric? I don't know. But I am pleased with my decision to go with the smaller needle size and to rather just pick up for every stitch along this edge. Also, just I'm just pinning this cardigan so that it's easier for you to see. And then for the collar, it's basically just stockinette that you're doing for the collar, which you then fold over and sew down, which again was my first time doing, but I think it looks great, and I think it will relax a bit more after blocking as well. So yeah, overall I'm really happy with the progress of this cardigan. I just have the sleeves to do and then I am done, which I anticipate will go by quickly. And yeah, I think I also expressed in my previous episode that I wasn't too excited about the color, but I did want to get the yarn out of stash. So I just have to pair this with some very interesting tops and pants and maybe skirts as well. Speaking about the yarn, this is Drops in the color, I don't know. I will put it somewhere on the screen or in the description. And it's paired with one strand of a lace weight silk mohair by Simul Natural Fibers as well. So yeah, and this, the Drops has, it's an alpaca wool blend, so it is very warm. So I don't anticipate myself wearing this anytime soon, but I think it's a very nice light fabric, so it won't feel too heavy and too warm when I do end up wearing it later in the autumn season. But yeah, I came to add another cardigan to my wardrobe. So my next work in progress is actually a test knit, and it is the Kyoto top made by Roche. I'll insert a photo here. And I was really drawn to this top when she first started showing it on Instagram. I loved the keyhole detail and the cap sleeves, as well as the shaping for both the bust and the waist. And I was very keen to see that she had a call for testers. I signed up for it. Unfortunately, she did want me to join her test group. She was very sweet though to share a warning that this is a made to measure pattern. So basically you knit up your own gauge swatch and then you punch in those numbers in a spreadsheet where you will get your own stitch counts and the number of rows that you need to knit for each section. So I was a little nervous, but I thought, you know what, let me just go for it. I think the final top is beautiful, and I've never been part of a test knit before. I've done many test sews, but I was keen to kind of be part of this process as well. And it would have been a finished object in this episode. You'll see that I have joined for the body, but she made quite some major changes to the pattern early Jan. So I actually did finish my top, but you will see that the short row shaping is a bit too much, and basically you end up having a bunching up of fabric at your neck. So let me actually just explain how you knit up this pattern, and then I'll explain why I've got two versions. So you basically end up casting, or you start off by casting on the back. You do short row shaping, and then you just knit up the back while also shaping for the armhole. You then cast on stitches for the left and the right, and then you also at the same time shape for the neckline, the keyhole details, and for the armholes on both sides. Once that's done, you obviously join those two pieces together. I think you knit for a bit, and then you join the back and the front. You then knit the body, and then she gives instructions to do like this non-rolling bind off, which I think will do that once it's blocked. And interestingly enough, you don't pick up stitches along the shoulder edge of the back. You sew it after you've done the body. And then afterwards, you just do your finishes for the collar. You do I-cord detailing for the keyhole, and then you also do that same non-rolling bind off for the sleeves. She also provides instructions if you want to do like a long sleeve version or like a long sleeve flared sleeve, which I think is lovely. And then for this version, I did bust decreases, and I didn't do any waist decreases. Now, with this first version, actually, let me go back. So I did two gauge swatches. I did one using 2 strands of a lace weight silk mohair held together on 4.5mm needles, and another one on 5mm needles. I decided to go with the 5mm needles initially because I wanted this to knit quickly. But when I had finished the back, it just looked way too long. And at that time, some people had actually already finished their versions, and they had quite a bit of positive ease, which didn't look like Roshni's version, which has negative ease. So I thought, okay, let me start over. Again, theme of this video. Let me start over and cast on the same stitch count, but using 4.5mm needles, and then see how that works out. So I was happy, but the back was still looking quite a bit longer than the front. And I was considering maybe doing some like short rows to increase the length of the front before joining in the round, but I was scared of doing that. And I think in early Jan, like a lot more people or testers had also mentioned that their back just seemed a lot bigger than what it should have been. And basically it turned out that the instructions for the short rows ended up having us do way too many short rows than what was actually needed, which is why there is this extra fabric in the back that is not necessary at all. So she then adjusted the spreadsheet and the instructions to have us do less short rows. And this was early Jan, and the testnet was supposed to be concluded this week. So she was quite sweet and extended the deadline. And she also said that if we no longer wanted to take part in it, we could. But I decided to go with it, to still continue going with it. And I casted on another version. So for this version, I used 4.5 millimeter needles, and I used the proper stitch count for it as well. So I think I do anticipate that this one will fit a bit more like loosely compared to this version. I'll put in a picture of me wearing this one, but I quite like the fit of this one. It is just like a little bit tight along the collar, but overall I think the fit resembles what the sample looked like. So I do think this one will have a bit more positive ease, but I'm okay with that. And so it looks a lot better. Like you can see that the short rows is not that bad. I don't think there'll be as much fabric at the back. And then, yeah, all I have to do is just to knit the rest of the body and then pick up for all of the finishes, which again won't take too long. I knit this one out quite quickly, so I anticipate the same will happen for this one. So in Roshni's version, she used one strand. I think it's a cotton and a silk mohair, or like, yeah, one strand of a silk mohair and one strand of cotton held together. And her gauge is quite big. I think she used 5 millimeter needles to knit hers up. I wanted to just use what was in my stash, so I am using 2 strands of a silk mohair, also by Samuel Natural Fibers. And I like wearing mohair, clearly. And I also had enough in my stash. So yeah, I'm excited to see how this turns out and just excited to have it in my wardrobe. I love the color. I was very scared to cast it on because I thought it would be too much, but I think the color is wonderful. The blue is just so rich, and yeah, I think it's just now time to do the body, and then I'll be done. I did mention that she also has instructions to do bust decreases and waist shaping. On the first version, I didn't do any waist shaping because I think, so she says like you have to look at the ratio between your underbust and your waist to decide if you want to do waist shaping, and I actually didn't have to, but I think for this version I will do that. So I'm quite keen to see how that will turn out. But yeah, I'm very excited to have this. I'm also not like frustrated at all. I think that's all part of being, being part of a testnet. That's the whole point of picking up like errors or like things that could be done better. So yeah, very happy. And I've been, enjoying the process as well. Everyone has been in like a group chat together to discuss their progress and, errors and things, which I think it's nice to have this big, like, knit along with other knitters and members. So yeah, that is my soon to be completed Kyoto top made by Rosh. So that's all of my whips for today, but I actually have some fun acquisitions to share, and it's a lot of wool. So just for a bit of context, I live in South Africa, and South Africa actually produces a lot of wool. In fact, I think we are one of the leading exporters of mohair. The only issue is that a lot of our wool is not processed locally. It's actually exported to be processed elsewhere. So there aren't actually a lot of companies that sell yarn commercially, especially for hand knitters. So yeah, I've been like, fortunately I've had like some people traveling to Europe and stuff to bring me yarn, but I'm just kind of at the point where I want to use what is locally available to me. And there are some up-and-coming molds that are producing more and more wool in the country that I would like to support and just kind of, see what's going on and what the quality is like. So like I said, there aren't a lot of companies that sell yarn commercially to hand knitters, but I did find a company who sells undyed bases, and I think they sell it in like 10 skeins a pack. So I'm thinking of just hand dyeing my own yarn to kind of get the colors that I want, and yeah, just to see how it goes. I think what I'm going to share first, let me share the bases first. So the company is called Stuck in Yarns, and they are based in the Eastern Cape of South Africa. So yeah, about 8 hours from Cape Town. And it's very exciting to know that like the yarn doesn't come too far from here. Like I'm supporting local farmers and local molds. So yeah, just very keen to see where this takes me. But one of the packs that I bought is the mohair silk base, and it is the Zambia base. So it comes with 10 skeins of 50 grams. So yeah, I think I'll get like at least like 3 projects out of this. And their mohair blend is 72% mohair and 28% silk. So your very standard lace weight silk mohair, and you'll be able to see the color. But yeah, I'm a bit nervous to dye it, but we'll see how it goes. And yeah, I think just also like a very easy way to match my yarn with the wool. I also got the Euro sock base, which is the very standard fingering weight yarn, which is 100% merino wool, and it is superwash. So all of their bases, of their wool bases, are superwash, which is also very interesting. I would like to know why. But I think because I am hand dyeing it, that might actually be a good thing to ensure that like the yarn actually picks up the colors that I want. So yeah, very keen. I think in this pack it's 10 skeins of 100 grams, and in 100 grams there are 400 meters. So again, I think I'll be able to get at least 3 projects if I combine it with a mohair or like another lace weight yarn. So I got that. And then I also got, which I'm very excited about, is the Rosetta base, and this is 76.4% wool, 12.2% linen, and 11.4% viscose. So very interesting. I don't have any like wool plant fiber bases in my stash, and I haven't worked with it before. So I'm very excited to see what the final fabrics will be. And I think the dyeing process will also be interesting, because obviously the plant fibers won't pick up the dye in the same way that the protein fibers will. So I anticipate that there will be quite a lot of like marling with these bases when I do dye it. But the natural like undyed base, you can kind of see the like linen pieces poking out. But yeah, overall very excited to work with this as well. And again, this is 10 skeins of 100 grams, and in 100 grams you get 360 meters. So I think this is also like a fingering, or like a heavier fingering weight yarn. And then lastly, I also have their Cedarburg base, which is the DK weight. I think a very standard DK weight, or it's listed as a DK weight, but I did swatch with this and I think it's actually more of like a sport weight. So yeah, I'll see how that works, because I haven't worked with sport weight yarns before. So I also have 10 skeins of this, and in 100 gram skein there are 216 meters each. So I think I have more than enough yarn to keep me busy. It's just a matter of like when I can actually dye them. But speaking of dyeing, I have actually made some like little swatches of some colors. So I actually just bought some primary colors. So I bought like a blue dye, a red and a yellow, just to like mix and see what I like and what I don't like. And so I really love this red that I was able to get. And this is like a little green that I love. This purple is not really one that I go for, but I think it's just so beautiful. I've also tried like lighter colors. I haven't been too successful with my blues and my greens, but I think that mainly has to do with my blue dye that doesn't dissolve well. I also have some warmer colors over here. I love this like mustard color. I can see myself making like a cardigan in that as well. And then I also have this beautiful like warm brown. Let's see what, I also have some like darker magentas and purples that are so beautiful. So I've just been having a lot of fun, and I think this will be kind of the best way for me to kind of get what I want, even though it will be a lot more effort to dye all of this and to ensure that I kind of get a good solid yarn base. But I think I would rather like go through the effort of trying to get colors that I like, bases that I like, than to settle for yarns that are not quite what I want and aren't in the bases that I would like to work with. So yeah, I hopefully by the next episode I can share some of the bases that I've managed to dye and start working with them as well. Considering that these are also superwash bases, I'm also intrigued to see how they will kind of wear over time and how long it will take for them to lose their shape. I know with non-superwash wools, they're quite good with keeping their shape over time. So I'm quite keen to see what the differences will be between my superwash garments and my non-superwash garments as well. But yeah, that is what I have to share today. Thank you for sticking around. Normally I would also share some sewing projects, but I have decided that I want to have my sewing and knitting podcast kind of run parallel, just so that I have enough time to discuss every item in each video. So stay tuned for that. And otherwise, I hope you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are.